Okay, so you're gonna write. Okay, how do I word this calmly? I had someone who saw some of the things that I was writing and from one of my main novels and saw that I had characters from 12 different countries around the world. And that, like, each book in the series focuses on 2 of those characters at a time. So you have 2 plot lines happening at a time, each book. So 7 books in the series, because then the last book is all of them come together. And this individual thought that it was their right to let me know that I have no business writing stories about people in those countries when I've never lived in those countries. I'm not from those countries. Those are not my ethnicities. Those are not your stories to tell, is what this individual said. And I said, here's the problem with that logic. No one is telling their stories. Someone has to. Someone has to. And as long as that person is doing it honestly, intelligently, and with graciousness, that you are not trying to make that group of people or that nationality of people out to be villains or, you know, trash, or they're all this or the da-da-da-da. If you're writing an honest story about someone from that country that you have done research on, that you have talked to people, maybe interviewed people from that region so that you know what it's like, what the living conditions are like, or what they were like in the era that you're writing in, whatever.
Or how the people themselves feel.
Exactly. Or how the people themselves feel about their country. What issues are the biggest things that you face in this country? I said, your comment should have been a question. You know, I would love to see what research you did on these countries, you know, before you wrote these stories. Or don't say anything until you've read the book.
Right.
To know if someone told good stories, accurate stories, was truthful. Then you can make your judgment call. Because guarantee, if you read them, you would go, wow, this has a lot of action, like this is legit, this is good information, this is someone that knows what they're talking about, and they're talking about it beautifully. None of these 12 characters are represented negatively or less than any of the others. They all get equal time, and all rich stories and beautiful character development, and, you know, emotionally driven, and it's all these different religions being represented too, and none of them are represented as being wrong or the incorrect one or anything like that. I said, shame on you, because if you had bought the book, read it, or if you just asked, I'm unsure whether I would want to read this book.
Right, that's fair.
I feel blah, 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 blah. I would send you a free copy and say, please read it, and then let me know what you think.
Because it's okay to be worrisome, because a lot of people have ruined stuff.
I get worried when I see a show advertised that their whole thing is that it's super diverse and it's incredibly diverse and we're done. That was me with Bridgeton. I said, bitch, where? But before I made my full judgment calls, I watched it.
Right.
I said, okay, they're advertising that they're super diverse and they're doing it differently and they're blah, 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 blah. And I watched and I was like, okay, I see what they're talking about. It is probably at that point the most diverse TV show set in that era that I've ever seen. Absolutely.
Right, it could have been a little more thicker, but...
Yeah, is it as diverse as they were making it out to be?
Not really.
No.
I'm still mad now because you said that. I'm still mad. I'm like, dang it, Daphne should have been Native American.
Yes.
I was like, what? You're right. Like, the second you point out, you ruined it for me forever. I'm like, why couldn't they have gone such a, like the girl in the second season, like, holy shit.
Yes.
Yeah, and why is all the Bridgetons white?
Yes.
Why are they the exception?
You sold your show that it was super diverse and that it was kind of blindly casted as far as race went. Where?
There's
Where?
only the black houses and there's the
Yes.
white houses.
You still kept it segregated.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are some couples and that's great, and you show Simon and Daphne, sure,
Right.
but by that point in time, it should have already happened.
Yep. If you want to just diversify a cast, then just diversify the cast. Don't
Right.
try to go off of actual historical whatever. Just diversify it.
It doesn't even matter if it makes sense. And the woman's husband
Yes.
is dead. You can do anything.
Yes.
And then in season 2, do the casting. Like,
Yes.
something.
Yes. Season 2 for me was more diverse than season 1
Oh,
because
yeah.
then they brought in people from India.
Thank
We
God.
loved that, so we had even more diversity. But
What?
you know, I had to wait for this season about Charlotte, Queen Charlotte, which is a brilliant,
Oh my gosh, it broke me in the end.
oh my god, brilliant
Brilliant.
series.
I'm glad people are loving it more because I think now people I'm not giving Netflix the benefit of a doubt, but maybe this was their plan to wheel us in safely, but who knows? Yeah, but to be fair, how many people are actually talking about it critically though?
Yeah. But finally, this time I was like, all right, we have diversity of races. We finally have,
Socialism like class.
yep, we have big diversity on that. We're showing that more and more in depth and more richly.
I was surprised when we found out
There's
the
more
Queen's guy is
diversity
gay.
Yes, there's more diversity of age. There's more diversity of sexual orientation. I was like, this season, this is what you talked like season 1 was.
Yeah.
And instead, your gay characters you vilified them.
Yeah.
You showed that male couple, and then the Bridgeton boy vilified it.
Right.
And you never really resolved that relationship.
No.
If you wanted to be diverse, that should have been fine, normal, and not change the relationship. Or, I stand by my first initial thing, the Bridgeton boy should have been gay. They should have been the relationship, him and the artist. It was leaning that way.
That's what I thought it was
writing
leaning that way. That's what I thought.
Everyone was ready for it and anticipating it because it would have been beautiful.
Right. I never read the books, so I wouldn't have known anyway.
And then they didn't go there. And I was like, wow, missed opportunity. And then you made him a bigot because he stopped talking to that friend.
Why? You know what? I don't understand. They could have made him bi, like both into boys and girls, because then they still could have in the books. Because I found out later that he gets a girl in the end, and they could have brought her in, but still kept that in because what if he had that fling, but then he starts to grow up, and he doesn't, and then it's mature. No one's a villain, and they just walk away on their past.
Yes.
That's the way it should be, or something.
Yep. Something. Change it up.
Something.
Change it up.
Oh my gosh, it broke me to see when they're dancing and then got to the modern day, and that actor, I don't know, I'm glad he got to shine here, but when he had that far off look, it broke me. I was just like, ah!
Yes.
You're so talented. Thank you for showing us your talents. I'm glad they got to give the actor a chance to shine.
Yeah. The writing in the Charlotte season was stunning.
I love Augusta, however you say it. She was so good. The actress is always typecasted as a bitch, but she's so good at it. Anyway, but I liked how I don't know if anyone noticed this or just I don't think anyone just said it out loud yet. But I loved how when Danbury just kind of had a breakdown, but she's trying to keep it all together. She didn't know what's going on, and she calls out and then pulls out a whiskey. I was like, I love that so much. I'm like, I love how they put it because now we get to see her. That's her.
Yes.
That's who the woman is.
And that was brilliant writing.
It was.
And it that goes back to when we talk about character redemptions and that I hate true redemptions.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Yes.
That served as her character's technical redemption arc.
Oh yeah.
Because then all of a sudden you understand her.
Right.
You understand, oh, you're falling apart inside 24/7 as well. You don't like your life. You're under a lot of pressure. You're living the same thing that she is.
Yes.
You're just years into it.
Yes.
You gave up trying to fight the system. So now you wield the system because as a woman you have to. Now I get you.
Yes.
And for her in that moment too, that was her way of consoling her. That was her way of saying, I'm sorry and I get it and this is unfair and it's not okay and it's horrible and da 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 da. But I can't apologize because this is how it is.
And you can
if
either
I apologize,
step up
yeah,
or no.
exactly. If I apologize, it means I'm going to lose power and position right now, and I've worked too hard to get here. Those men technically serve me now. They think we're all on equal whatever, but I've twisted the system now, and it works for me. And then in that moment, you understand now, modern day Charlotte, she's the same way.
Oh yeah.
She does it way better, and she does it with more class and compassion overall. But then you're like, that's where she learned it from.
Right.
So they did become friends and allies. Now you know that.
Right.
But it was a friend and allyship of learning how to be a wicked woman under the table.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, kind and prim and proper and follow all the rules outwardly. Such a good scene. Because then you as an audience member, it went from a...
It was so satisfying.
Yes. It went from a you just hated her
Yes.
to now you love to hate her.
Yes.
Which is the perfect anti-hero, villain, whatever. They're the perfect ones that you love to hate because now you get it.
Yes.
Now you get it.
Yes.
Now you're like, all right, I get why you're a bitch. And I'm here for it.
Right.
Now I get it.
And also,
like
and then
you?
as it continues, when George is having breakdowns and she's trying to keep the, a cabinet at bay, like now you can totally get it. Like she's trying to keep this country together.
Yes, because it's all she has now.
Yeah.
It's all she has.
Oh, yes.
You get that. And again, it's brilliantly written because they don't try to redeem her to where you're like, oh, I totally understand now, and I support you in all the decisions you made. No, you still hate every decision she's made.
Yes.
But now you at least get where it came from.
Yes.
You're like, I hate what you put your son through, knowingly.
Yes.
But now
you can have an understanding.
I understand where it came from. I understand what you were doing because you are not a woman and a human anymore. You are just a figurehead to the crown. That's it.
Especially if you look in history.
You had to come to the understanding that your son is not a human anymore. He is the crown. So you're desperately trying to get the crown healthy in whatever way possible, no matter how horrible it may seem, if the end result that you've been promised by this doctor who's the actual villain of the series.
Oh yeah.
Which they all were in that era.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, he promised he could get him healthy. That's all she cares about. Because she knows the ends will justify the means. That once he's healthy, he would come to the understanding of why I put him through that torture. That's what she tells herself every day.
That's what a lot of parents would tell themselves, like if you had a child with cancer or something, and you didn't have the equipment.
And you put them through that horrible chemo and radiation, and you know they're suffering, but at the same time, you're like, but when they survive, when they live through it, we'll be able to look back and they'll understand the ends justified the means. That it was painful during the process, but now they're healthy and they're going to live and they're going to survive.
They're going to live a life.
Right. And sadly, any parent would fall victim to a doctor.
Oh yeah.
Telling stories that they can absolutely cure them, even though there's no cure, because her hope is that he can be cured. That's why she did all that. So then all of a sudden you understand it, and you understand that the entire time she was coming home and drinking.
Oh yeah.
Every night just to get through it. You're like, oh, you're human.
Yeah.
You made the horrible decisions, but you're still human, and it's still there. Now I get you as a character. So well written. In one scene, in one moment, in one action. Taking out a bottle.
It turned everything around.
It turned everything around.
Yes.
One scene, one moment,
Yes.
One scene, one moment, that character became better written than most of the characters from season 1.
Oh yeah.
In one moment.
That's good writing.
That's good writing.
Yes.
Oh my god. And the writing between the King and Charlotte.
I know.
Heartbreaking. Tragic.
I really liked how I think it was the
emotional.
second or the third episode, I forgot which one, when we saw everything from his perspective. I love that so much. Because for the first episode or second, I was like, "What's going on?" Like no, but you don't really know why he's like. I was a little confused because when she walked in, you're upset. I was upset for her.
Right.
I loved how it's like she basically speaks like me, like fight with me, fight for me, like talk to me, and he's all, "Oh hello," and I'm just like, there is no way he is that stupid. He's not. You know he's not.
Right.
And you're mad because you're like, "F you." Freaking talk to me like a human being. I know you can.
Yes.
And then you see the flip side, and you're like,
yes, because the goal of those first 2 episodes is you're supposed to
see both sides.
You're supposed to be with Charlotte.
Yes.
You are supposed to see her side, love her, feel that she's fully vindicated, that she is fully whatever. Her. Because we already love Charlotte.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're ready to love Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
And then they throw that wrench in there on that episode and go, we're going to show you the other side.
I liked how there's 2 parts I loved that one broke me so bad. I was like, because then she didn't like the dog, she didn't even know it was a dog. And then you find out where the dog came from, you're like, I love the dog, I'll take it.
Right?
I felt so bad because I get it at the same time. I thought it was cute as heck anyway, but I get why she didn't understand. But I was like, it's adorable. And I love how Miss Danbury, like, subtly, Danbury just like, it's a very rare, very expensive, like to bring home, like, it's not just a gift. It's actually very, very important.
Right.
And I love that. I loved how she subtly slapped Charlotte a little humbly with that. I love that so much. And you find out like, oh shit. And the other one I liked is when she was so angry about the and this I felt like was a callback to the first season of Bridgeton towards the end, where she was like, it's like, what happened to the servants and he's like, oh, we got rid of them because you didn't want to, and just the consequences of one subtle act without thinking about it. It's so easy in modern day. I love how we're seeing this in that. Because it's so easy for wanted to whisk away, like, I can do it myself, I'm a modern woman or a modern person,
Yep.
I can do it, and then you see the consequences without thinking or understanding.
Yep.
Leaping before leaping before you look, not looking
Right.
before you leap, that's it, sorry.
Yep.
And I loved how they introduced that because, she doesn't know her surrounding.
Right.
And I loved how it smacked, I felt like it smacked her and the audience with that, and I loved it. I was like, humbled. I deserve that. Humbled.
Yep. Beautifully written. Oh, the tragic writing in that season.
I want another season. I would love to see another rendition of it, of her, like, say, on their 4th or 5th child, just a little time skip, and see how they handle her shielding the children, and because we know she wasn't very good at mother. But we want to see, like Augusta, see how it falls to the same victim thing, and trying to keep it just because it would be just another how she got to where she is now. It would have been fascinating, and then it would just been interesting. And by the way, I want to see a Jew. I want to see a Jewish family. They did it in Downton Abbey. I loved it. But I want to see another rendition of a Jewish family in this segregated place. Not segregated, but now non-segregated. Coming to their own, because it would have been so. How do you not do that? Like, because Jewish people, it's an obvious. I don't know. It's a myth. Obviously, it's a stereotype, great stereotype, but that they're rich, and it would be just fascinating to see that concept play into a world of Bridgerton. And see, they're Jewish, so they're rich and all that, and everyone just thinks they're rich and rich and rich and rich and rich, and they're rich, but they're not rich.
Yeah.
And just see the human side of what it is to be a Jewish person in a society full of various other means, where people forget they were segregated as well.
Right.
But they don't. They just focus on the others. And they humbly just stay in the corner. And there's no shame in that. They're just trying to live their lives.
Right.
It'd be fascinating to take that perspective.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see which ethnic group they decide to add into the third season.
It'd be nice to see an Asian.
It would, but not
Native American.
stereotypical. I would love to see a Native American family brought in, or
That would be
character,
awesome.
something.
Can you imagine like these people like they would wait no this is way into the future. I was about to say like the American princess, but that's way ahead of its time. So never mind. But it would be fascinating maybe if they played on say they have this family coming up from say a factory or whatever it is, but they'll be in that day. I don't know what they have in those days. I know they have windmills and all that. Point is, or fabric, okay, and say Native Americans were taken, to Bridgeton and Denmark and all that. So and all that, and so it'd be fascinating if that family history became rich, came to Bridgeton's land when they found out, not segregated, and became rich, and then now they're coming to society because now they're so rich. And now they just got a title, and now they're coming in and they're moving into this season. It would be fascinating to use that, to slide in a Native American family in there. It'd just be nice. Something. So, give me a Native. I just want, ever since you said that, I'm like, shit.
I know. Lost opportunity.
I just had a conversation with my father the other day. He was very, and I understand the anger. Like, he was angry that they had to stop building this road. Because they don't even know if they might go over a Native American graveyard. And he's like, it's getting in the way of progress. He was in the 60s. He was getting in the way of progress. And I was like, well, how did they not know? I was like, oh, it just came out last minute. And I was asking questions, trying to get that scenario. Because I understand, because a lot of cars are driving now, more roads need to be built. Then I understand. However, I got down to it finally. I said, okay, so really it all hinges on the fact that two people that you speak of, all this hinders, all the billions of dollars and work was hinged on these two people for not doing their job properly. If you're angry, you can, in a democracy, use these tools and complain about it and have the state or city or whatever fix it. Money was thrown away because these two idiots. That is what you're angry about, and I understand that you have a right to be. But why are you angry that it was just about progress? Because it's not the Native Americans' fault, and you don't even know if they're there. Okay, if it's really so important to them, why don't they go out there and clear up the scenario anyway? Because if it's hindered and stopped, and they can't, why haven't they actually found the truth then? Why aren't they going other ways if it's their job? Because it is. And we were driving, so he was just driving silently, and I was like, okay. And
Yeah, because you're right. It was the job of those engineers,
or whoever was in
who
charge,
decided where the road was going to go, how it was going to be built, when it was going to be built, where it was going to curve, what it was going to connect to. It was their fault for not seeing that existed and that area existed potentially. And if it was a potential, yes, they should have then gone and did research, contacted the tribes that were known to be in that area and go, we think we have found an old burial ground. Is this, a land that belonged to these people, or that it could be a burial ground? If the answer is yes, or it's an 85% yes, then you talk with those groups and you set up a dig. You ask permission to move the bodies, to move the area, if that's okay. And if it's not okay, you figure out a way to build around it.
Right.
To honor that area. Then you contact, if you're afraid of losing money, this is how easy this is. You contact the state that was happening in, and there is money set aside in every state to label an area a historical site, and it is then turned into a state park or a state area to protect that site.
There you go.
They would give you money.
It's actually already a park, actually.
they would give you money to reroute your road to honor that area, and then that area would be made historical so that no one can make that mistake again in the future. It would be a protected area. Done. Solved.
That's what I was thinking.
Easy.
And here's the thing. I was like, the roads here down, you know where AMC Theaters is? At the fourth, yeah, you go down there, and and you go further. That's where it was, and just stop and you go that way. I'm like, okay, if you went there, if you go past the highway, and I know you can do this. I checked myself. If you go past the highway and one's over there, and you go past it into that's farmland. We know there's nothing there because they're already building plots of neighborhoods and other stuff, vicariously. So you can just change it up and make that another route, and that's what you can do. Because the route is still there. You can just still make it, and you get around it. Yes, it's a little further a ways, but it still gets the job done, and it's out a little more yonder field, so that way, the gasoline and all that doesn't build up so fast. It's still within a nature way. We got plenty of land in between. It's perfect. And he was also complaining about the airport. It's like, oh, they got this field and they refused. They don't want to get rid of the prairie grass and all that. And I'm just like, well, and again, I used the common sense. I'm like, okay, well, yes, I can understand maybe it gets in the way of what you would call progress. However, in this area, we like nature, and it's important to balance it too. It's important to balance it. You can't just, So, and I thought it was hilarious because we were just on our way to my niece's graduation, and I was having this conversation with him, and he just couldn't win, and my mom was in the back smiling to herself.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Don't we love those conversations?
Yeah.